Hey everybody, it's Vulcan Wolverine again, and it's about 11:10 p.m. on April. Gonna get that right. No, gosh, it's May. It's May 6th. Oh my God, I got it wrong again. It's May 6th, 2020. I just wanted to go over the TSA, the new millimeter wave scanners to scan people to see if they're sick or not during this pandemic, the COVID crisis. And I wanted to first off show this. You can look it up right on Google, right? Right on Google, right in front of our faces. Where does it? What's that saying? The best place to hide something is like right out in the open. Active denial technology uses radio frequency millimeter waves, really microwave frequency. But I see that even if you look up the patent, you go and you try and look up the patent for like microwave hearing, which is voice to skull. It's one method of doing voice to skull, right? You go and you try and look up microwave hearing, and it'll say radio frequency hearing. They're trying to change everything that has microwave in it to be like radio frequency, but it's really a microwave frequency millimeter wave. Trying to change that to radio so that it's not I guess it doesn't scare the public or whatever. The public should be scared, and people are being hit with microwave frequencies, millimeter waves, and everything inside of their homes. Which is, I think that we're being lied to about millimeter waves not being able to pass through walls. I think some ranges of millimeter waves can pass through walls and have, but there's many other, many other um, electromagnetic frequencies that are used to target people like me, people like y'all who are being experimented on with directed energy weapons and neuro weapons. But so, active denial technology uses radio frequency millimeter waves at a frequency of 95 gigahertz, traveling at the speed of light. The millimeter wave directed energy engages the subject, penetrating the skin to a depth of only about 1/64th of an inch, or the equivalent of 3 sheets of paper. There it is, millimeter waves, 5G. A big percentage of the 5G technology is millimeter waves. So anybody that says that 5G is not dangerous, you must look at these active denial systems and look at the gigahertz ranges that they use to cook people, to burn them so they run away. And many millimeter waves and other frequencies used to lock on to targeted individuals be used around the head and external hits to the body, which motion compensates everywhere they go in the world because of the infrastructure that's been built over many years. They're just building up the infrastructure more and more with consumer 5G towers. So let's go to this video, guys. And I got so much stuff I want to go through here. I really wanted to do a live stream tonight, but like I said in my last video, like my attackers are completely locking me out. Not of Zoom. I can get to Zoom, but then when I try and connect to YouTube, it just stops. And I've updated Zoom and everything, but it's like my Zoom that is being frozen out. The program is being frozen so that it times out when it's trying to connect to YouTube every time. So I'm going to work on that, but I just wanted to get this really important information out about the millimeter wave scanners, and then I wanted to show you guys an article about millimeter waves functions in mind control, in remote neural manipulation. And it's really important. Let's go ahead and watch this. I'm not sure how much we're going to watch of this, but this is High Impact Vlogs, and he did a video saying do not submit to this dangerous nonsense. He's correct. We should not submit to any of this dangerous nonsense. But let's go ahead and
it used to be when you went to board a flight, you walked into the airport, you walked up to the ticket counter, you paid for your ticket, and you walked straight to the gate. And your family could go with you, and they could stay there until your plane left. There was no TSA, there weren't body scanners, there were no molestation and radiation practices. You didn't need the blue shirts, you didn't even know you needed them. And now we have a new normal. That new normal, you go through the body scanner or you get patted down. Well, guess what? they want to lay on us another new normal. And this comes from Mike Minnick. I just want to play this real quick. This is from the Today Show. And I tried to find the original video on NBC, and apparently they haven't uploaded it to their channel yet. So I apologize for the quality, but that might be a good thing because they like to give community guideline strikes for using original material. So check this out.
Need to recognize with the temperature checks, they absolutely have a role to play.
This device may play a role in getting the country going again. It's called the Symptom Sense Medical Evaluation Gateway.
Symptom Sense Medical Evaluation Gateway. So you want to go to that ball game? You got to go through the gateway. You want to travel somewhere? You want to go into a busy office building? Well, you got to go through the gateway. And it's necessary because we have to keep people safe. We want to make sure you're not sick before you enter that building. Don't want to infect a whole lot of people, right?
The manufacturer says it can screen up to 600 people an hour for signs of illness. Company CEO Derek Peterson showed me how the technology works at their lab on Long Island, New York.
Long Island, New York. Let's think about this. Somehow, in about 6 or 7 weeks, they were able to develop this complex machine that takes your temperature, takes your heart rate, takes your blood oxygen level, your vital signs. It's a detector you're going to have to go through before you're allowed to enter that stadium or enter that building or go to that concert. I don't know about you, but follow the money bells are going off all over the place.
Hey, Vicky, come on through.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. I don't think these complicated machines using millimeter wave technology to get somebody's temperature, heart rate, see if they're, see if they could be sick, see if their temperature is above the normal level. I don't think there's any way that they could be built just within a couple of months with that short amount of time. I think they were ready long before this for use. Now, the pandemic comes along and it's like, oh, we have an excuse to put these out, right? I mean, it didn't happen like that, right? I think it was all more planned than that. But it's like, I think that they wanted to scan people with millimeter waves in the airport long before the pandemic, and then this comes out, and it's like, okay, we're going to put them out now.
As you walk through, face this way, put your feet on the yellow pads.
As I walk in, Peterson says,
Now, let me go back a second here, because my whole thing, you see, it's got a scanning device right here that goes straight to the head, and your brain regulates temperature, blood pressure, heart rate, everything like that. And I can't prove this, right? I can't prove this, but I have a feeling that this is millimeter waves that are actually getting a signal to and from the brain. Now, the mainstream media would never say that. They're just going to say, oh, well, this is getting your body temperature, it's getting your heart rate and everything. And maybe it does it. Maybe it does it just by millimeter waves on the skin, and it can get those vital signs from that. But I kind of have a sneaking suspicion that it has to do with signals to and from the brain. Because as targeted individuals know, me and you guys watching this, my attackers can send signals to the brain. They can receive signals from the brain, not only my vital signs, but what's going on in my visual cortex, what's going on in my inner voice, which is like coming from the language center of my brain. Now, some of that is also from the throat and the jaw, tiny vibrations, but they can see the words that your brain is thinking straight from your auditory cortex, passing through the temporal lobes to the auditory cortex. With microwave, that's what remote neural manipulation is. So and I'm not sure. This could be just getting the temperature from the body and the heart rate by areas of the body. But I do have a sneaking suspicion that some of these machines are sending a signal and receiving a signal from the brain. I can't prove that right now, but let's just watch this, and then I'm going to show you guys another article.
Peterson says this sensor uses ultrasound to measure my height so the machine can adjust.
Now we're going to calculate your body temperature, and we'll also look at your heart rate, resting heart rate, and oxygen level by this sensor right.
That's not invasive, is it? Put that in the hands of government.
So it is this sensor right here, getting heart rate, and temperature and everything like that. So I guess it can just do a millimeter wave signal to the skin and get some of those vital signs. Maybe even passing through the skin to the heart to get the heart rate.
We still have our Fourth Amendment, don't we? The right to be secure in our persons, houses, papers, and effects. Wait a second, I'm not going to be secure in my person if they're checking my heart rate, if they're checking my temperature, and they're monitoring my vital signs.
And I love Brian. I would recommend everybody to subscribe to his channel. But I mean, and he should be. He's talking about like we need to be able to do whatever we want. Even laws are basically unconstitutional. I just think about how far everything's going. I'm being tortured. My brain is being read in my house. And I'm like, does he understand how bad it is? You know? But I think we've got to speak that way of the way that we want things, right? We've got to go to the extreme, the way that things should be to even have a chance at the right kind of conversation, right? We can't say, well, I'm being murdered in my home and I just want to stop being murdered, but I'll kowtow to other things, right? We need freedom. Like humans have an inalienable right from God to be free if we're not doing anything to anybody else, which is extremely just blown to pieces. As targeted individuals, you know, most of us, I didn't do anything to anybody, but I've been experimented on for decades, you know, for decades. So it's just so far from the way that people should be allowed to live, the way that things are going on now.
Directly in the chest area.
In less than 10 seconds, this screen tells the operator my external temperature, respiration rate.
So you see that there? It's getting a signal from the head. And, you know, as a targeted individual, I understand how pulses can be sent through the vestibular system, the cranial nerves, electromagnetic pulses, and can send signals back from the brain, you know.
Blood oxygen level and heart rate. So you're looking at these
Where are they
vital
getting the
signs.
heart rate?
What can that actually tell you about someone's health?
Through our combination of looking at these four vitals, we can tell if somebody's well or not well.
Peterson says because this is not a medical device,
I guess it was going from the top down. Let me go back to that, guys.
Machine doesn't collect data. Not actually tell you about someone's health.
Through our combination of looking at these four vitals, we can...
Less than 10 seconds, this screen tells the operator my
external temperature. External temperature, and it has the line to the head. So I mean, you know, I guess that it could be it's like scanning just the skin to get the temperature, but you know, as a targeted individual, I understand that microwaves can be used to actually get signals from the brain. So I'm very suspect about this. I'm very suspect about the scanning device, and is it actually sending millimeter wave signals to and from the brain? Like, and they need to say exactly how it works. They need to tell, these things shouldn't exist, right? I mean, that's the problem. Like, these scanners should not exist. 5G should not even be up. But like this thing, people should know exactly how does the millimeter wave measure this. Is it from your skin? Is it going through the body? Is it sending signals to and from the brain? But they're just like, oh, it's this little technological device and it gets your vital signs. And they don't go into it any more than that. When there are people all over the world being experimented on by microwaves, where it can see what you've eaten, it can like get your heart rate, your blood pressure, your temperature, and everything like that through the brain. Like my attackers, they have remote neural monitoring going on, which is giving them all these vital signs that I have, and it's actually, you know, whatever's going on in my visual cortex. How am I feeling? What kind of emotions am I feeling? Can put those things back, right? Can put visuals in my visual cortex, can actually place EEGs on top of, you know what I'm saying. It can actually send electromagnetic signals to the brain to make me feel a certain way. So a lot of it's done through the brain, and I'm very suspicious of this. Very suspicious about anything that they're rolling out in this time.
Thermal temperature, respiration rate, blood oxygen level, and heart rate. So you're looking at these vital signs. What can that actually tell you about someone's health?
Through our combination of looking at these 4 vitals, we can tell if somebody's well or not well.
Peterson says because this is not a medical device, it doesn't require FDA approval. The machine doesn't collect data, and he says the technology to measure these vital signs is non-invasive.
And what kind of technology is that? We're putting up FIVEGEE.
It's 5G technology. It's millimeter wave technology. How can it not be invasive? If it's reading your heart rate from your body, how is that non-invasive? And especially if they're getting signals from the brain, signals can be sent right to the brain. How is that? It's the most invasive thing ever. When they say invasive, they mean nobody's going to be touching you physically like another human being, but these technologies, these microwaves and electromagnetic frequencies are going through the body to certain places. It's the most invasive thing. It's the same thing as if you stab somebody with a knife using microwave signals that go through the body to the heart or the brain. Even on the skin. They're reconfiguring what no touch means. Well, I'm not touching you with my human hand, but I'm going to bombard you with microwaves. It's invasive. Like the whole, all the verbiage and the semantics of it being non-invasive is lying. It's lying. Like because electromagnetic frequency, and they're not even new, but they're pretending like directed energy and 5G, millimeter waves is 5G, but they're acting like it's so new that it doesn't really count. Whatever we do with it, we can murder you, but you just died of natural causes. We can drive you insane with microwave, with directed energy weapon technology, but it's no touch. So we didn't really do anything because the technology's so new. Bull crap, and it's been around a long time. Microwaves have been used for a long time to hurt people, to send signals to and from the brain, to get these vital signs and everything, and it's invasive. They're acting like because people don't understand enough about microwaves and don't understand enough about how electromagnetic frequencies are being just completely misused and abused, that it doesn't really count. It's natural. It's non-invasive, you know.
Grids all over the place, but we need to concentrate those beams. We need to make sure it's individualized. We need to make sure somebody goes through our gateway and gets subjected to what?
We're using technology called millimeter wave technology.
Oh, millimeter wave technology. Where have I heard?
So somebody gets scanned by the TSA going into an airport, does that pick up their unique brainwave signature? Because microwaves, you can get a unique brainwave signature from somebody to target them later. So is that an angle that they're trying to do? Is to actually get and categorize unique brainwave signatures to later target those individuals, and then they've got a whole lot of other angles everywhere in every country to do that same thing. It's just a hell world.
Heard that before. Oh yeah, Verizon set that up in New York before this pandemic went down. I'm sorry, pandemic went down.
Be able to scan the body for respiration rate and heart rate. We're also using our own proprietary technology for determining temperature. We validate against known equipment in the industry that can verify what we're doing.
Let's be clear. This cannot tell me if I have coronavirus.
Absolutely not. I can't tell you if you have the coronavirus, but what I can tell you is that you may be sick.
It might detect vital signs.
You may be sick, but you still got to go through our gateway. It doesn't tell us a whole lot of information, but you still got to go through our gateway. And don't worry, we're not going to keep any information. We're not recording it. We're not downloading it. We're not giving it to the FBI, CIA. Hey, you can trust us. It's no problem. We're just here to meet a need, and that need is we need to keep you safe.
Differences that are consistent with coronavirus, but up to 50% of people with coronavirus are going to have normal vital signs, no symptoms whatsoever.
NBC News medical correspondent Dr. John Torres.
I just see all these reporters and they're just nodding and they don't know anything and they're just going to go ahead and report the story that they're told to, and they're just traitors, just complete traitors who they don't care what this is going to do to human beings. They do not care. Like, they have nothing up there that would give them any kind of concern about these things. They're just like, ooh, it's a new thing. This will be a good story for my career and stuff like that. It's just sickening.
Says this device is not a magic solution to detecting coronavirus. How important are these vital signs to determining a baseline if someone may or may not be ill?
Vital signs are one tool we use to look to see if somebody is sick, but it's not the only tool. People with normal vital signs, if they have other complaints, they still might have a disease.
What do you say to critics who say this might give people a false sense of security about whether or not they're healthy?
It's just another tool trying to help people understand in a quick way if they're healthy or not.
Take off those masks. Why do you guys have masks on? Are y'all some kind of robbers or something?
What do you say to critics who say, hey, I don't want to be radiated. Don't blast me with your microwave technology. What do you say to those people?
It's not the end, no be all.
But who decides what to do with
Let's see,
this data?
97
David
from the
Homer
head
said-
is that little line to the head. 97 point whatever was the temperature. So I really think that it's a signal from the brain that the scanner, the millimeter wave or 5G scanner is getting. What other signals can it pick up from the brain if they're actually sending a signal to the brain to see the temperature of the person?
Says it will be up to the organizations that use this technology to figure out how they respond. Do you think tools like this are helpful, and do you think they will become commonplace?
Yes, I do think that they can be helpful. We are in an extraordinary situation where I think a lot of people are looking at how do we balance our individual freedoms with more of a collective need for...
No, we aren't
Giving up
in
our
an
individual
extraordinary
freedoms.
situation. And no, we don't need your help. And yes, we do understand that when you're talking about our safety and wanting to keep us safe, you're really talking about wanting to control us more.
for society.
He compares the new technology to airport screenings after 9/11.
I think a lot of us are talking about tools like this and other forms of technology that might have seemed unusual a year ago might be part of our future.
Yeah, that's just another euphemism for this is part of our new normal. They want to acclimate us, guys, to a new normal. They want to scan us. They want to find out what our heart rates are. They want to find out what our body temperatures are. They want to collect a whole lot of data on us while they're radiating us outside of the radiation people get from airports.
As for the symptom sense, the company says it's received interest from thousands of companies and governments, including major
And I'd like to
sports.
add-
The Greek government just
hold on a
ordered
second,
several of
guys.
these devices, but it's
I'd like to add, in maybe even getting unique brainwave signatures from people in new, creative, evil, tyrannical ways, right? Because we know as targeted individuals that somehow our unique brainwave signature was grabbed, right? Was gotten by some kind of technology so that they could do remote neural manipulation, remote neural monitoring on us. So is this a new way to grab unique brainwave signatures of people and then target them later down the road? And I'm not sure about that. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the millimeter wave is. It just scanning the skin? Is it going through to the heart? And if it can go through to the heart, right? Well, I mean, this is obvious for targeted individuals, right? I mean, there's protocols that they use to receive signals from the brain and to put signals back to the brain to go through and hit the heart, actually. So I'm just saying for this device, if it can go straight through the heart, then it can definitely go straight through to the brain. And why would there be on that diagram, why would it be coming from the head, the temperature? So.
clear how to where they're going.
Guys, I don't care how much you like sports. I don't care how much you like concerts. It doesn't matter how much you like going to theme parks or flying an airplane. Don't let these people radiate you. Don't put your health.
Yeah, I would like that
some
decision too. Like, I'd like to, hey, I don't want them radiating me, but not voluntarily, not by my consent. I'm being tortured by directed energy weapons. So, we've got to understand with things like that. I mean, people need to reject that. They need to say, no, I'm not doing that. Then you're not going to be able to fly on the plane. But millions and millions of people all over the world, non-consensually, are being tortured by microwaves. So now it's this thing where they have all these things going out to the public with exactly what we're being tortured by. Which in a way it's like it could be good to opening people's eyes up to what's happening with targeted individuals, but in every other respect it's like the most evil, worst thing in the world, because all this coming out to the public is going to put the public in danger in their thoughts, and picking up what people are thinking and then manipulating what they're thinking also. So this is just from the EPA. This is radiation and airport security scanning. To help keep travelers safe, airports may use different kinds of screening equipment. Airport security scanning equipment is used to check carry-on items, blah, blah, blah. Equipment used during the screening process can emit low levels of radiation, right? Of non-ionizing microwave radiation. About radiation and airport security scanning. Non-ionizing radiation scanning equipment. Metal detectors use magnetic fields to help identify metal objects. Magnetic fields are produced by the flow of current through wires or electrical devices, also through the air. Magnetic fields can be created out of thin air or through thin air streams. Directed energy can go through where no wires are needed. Everybody that has to be common knowledge. That has to be common knowledge. Metal detectors create a magnetic field by using a brief pulse of electrical current. The magnetic field will be reflected back to the machine if there are any metal objects present, such as a watch or belt buckle. Let's go down to this one right here. Millimeter wave machines use non-ionizing radio frequency microwaves to detect threats. The machine bounces the waves off the body and back to the machine. Millimeter wave scanners emit far less energy than a cell phone. Millimeter wave machines are important pieces of airport security equipment because they can show hidden threats such as guns or knives. If there are no weapons or other potential threats when someone is scanned, the screen turns green and shows an OK. If an object is detected, it will appear on the screen along with a generic body outline to show the location. Not everything that shows up in the scan is an actual object or threat, so TSA will perform a pat-down to confirm. Ionizing radiation scanning equipment. Backscatter passenger scanners are used to detect threats such as weapons. Some screening equipment uses ionizing radiation. Ionizing radiation has so much energy it can knock electrons out of atoms, a process known as ionization. Airports use ionizing radiation to scan passengers and luggage. Depending on the type of machine, ionizing radiation is used to identify objects that may be hidden by passengers and to create images of what is in the luggage. What we need to tear down all those machines and not have them, and stop torturing people with non-ionizing microwave radiation, and stop remote neural monitoring people who are targeted and experimented on by this stuff. That's what we need to do. So let's go to this real quick. Millimeter wave scanner from Wikipedia. Let's put my face right here. A millimeter wave scanner is a whole body imaging device used for detecting objects concealed underneath a person's clothing using a form of electromagnetic radiation. But we see this was written before these new machines are put out, and now it's being used to scan vital signs. And what else, right? So this is an older thing from Wikipedia where they're like, oh, it's just being used to scan objects, when before they could use millimeter waves to scan a person's vital signs. How far are they going, and are they going to tell anybody? Because of the amount of tyranny that we have in our society, they're not telling anything to the public because they're at war with the public. The top of the pyramid and all these agencies and down the pyramid, TSA agents and law enforcement don't know crud. They don't know anything about what they're doing. They just use the devices and everything like that, and they have no idea what kind of data it's picking up from a human being. And I feel like it's an important context that we put it in as targeted individuals, as someone who has microwaves that are actually getting signals back from my brain and sending signals to my brain and my nervous system, externally hitting my body, and I'm in an apartment here. Like so it's being shot from very, very far away. Some targeted individuals, their neighbors have ground weapons that hit them. It is one of the common technologies of full body scanner used for body imaging. A competing technology is backscatter X-ray. Millimeter wave scanners themselves come in two varieties, active and passive. Active scanners direct millimeter wave energy at the subject and then interpret the reflected energy. Passive systems create images using only ambient radiation and radiation emitted from the human body or objects. So let's go to this next article here. I got a lot of information I want to put out. And I'm just going to try and get out some of these connections to these things. Let's see. I'll just put this right here for now. Millimeter waves and mind control. So this is from sonic.net. This is Alan Yu. Dear readers, I have stated that there's nothing can hide in the mind control surveillance system because the operators are using the state-of-art remote watching technology. Now I found more information to prove what I have stated is correct. I would show readers such kind of information below. This is from New Scientist, November 5th, 1995. 1995, people were being targeted, and long before that, right? So they've had a long time to experiment and collect data and create new ways and new protocols of sending microwaves, hitting people with microwaves externally, and also creating electromagnetic fields, pulses, bidirectional stream to the brain, to the vestibular system and to the brain to get signals back, and to also send signals to the brain and the nervous system. Nowhere to hide. And you know, it's not even talking about just what should be common sense and obvious, but I think I need to state it, that with microwaves and with radar, people can be surveilled from long distances away, and their surroundings can be surveilled, right? I'm thinking that's common sense, but to a lot of people, maybe it's not. You know, people who are not targeted with these weapons. But that's just the first layer of evil, is surveilling you while you use the bathroom, wherever you go, outside, in your car, surveilling you in your home, you know. But then it goes even deeper into, surveilling the brain, signals to and from the brain, and microwave signals hitting the body, hitting the heart, hitting the lungs, but also signals from the brain to the heart and the lungs, and hitting the reproductive systems externally, directly, and also sending signals to the autonomic nervous system, the peripheral nervous system, to mess with your reproductive system, to mess with your lungs, to mess with your heart, using the vagus nerve and other protocols, So nowhere to hide. If you want to see the future of surveillance, take a trip into the world of millimeter waves and the video cameras that are sensitive to them. People are stripped of their clothes and become featureless, luminous humanoids. Silhouetted against their bodies and suspended as if by magic hang coins, buckles, pins, and keys. Cars are dark and sinister, although their hot radiator grills are bright. Only the steel as reinforced concrete shows up, so buildings look more like cages of copper pipes and electricity cables than homes and offices. There's little privacy in the world revealed by the millimeter wave camera. Sitting rooms, bedrooms, bathrooms, and laboratories all merge into one open space. People sit in their cages watching warm boxes. Others sleep while suspended a few centimeters above the floor. The images make an apt metaphor for the brave new digital world of electronic surveillance. It is a world where there will be nowhere to hide, nor anywhere to hide anything. And I'd like to say, as a targeted individual, I've gone all over the country to try and get away, and I'm still targeted and surveilled, even when I went to West Virginia or Florida, I haven't really gone anywhere else. But if I go to England, because of the infrastructure, the surveillance infrastructure, using microwaves, using millimeter waves, using electromagnetic frequencies, using directed energy, I can be hit in any country that I go to. Because of satellites, over-the-horizon radar, phased array antennas on 4G towers and 5G towers, drones, and I'm probably missing, Gwyn towers, and other things that we may not even know are part of this surveillance and torture infrastructure. So there are already devices under development that will see through walls and strip search subjects from a distance, looking under their clothes and inside their bodies. Individuals may be identified by their unique smells and tracked down, or recognized electronically even before they have had time to complete a crime. And thanks to cheap digital video cameras and powerful new search algorithms, individuals will be tracked by computers. There will be no anonymity even in the once welcoming crowds. Millimeter waves sit in the electromagnetic spectrum between the infrared and microwaves. They are emitted by anything that contains water, especially if it is warm. The human body is an excellent source, and it stands out like a beacon at these frequencies. Millimeter waves are incredibly useful, says Steve Borer, an electrical engineer at Militech, a company in Massachusetts that has spent 10 years developing cameras that can spot them. They pass straight through any non-conducting material. This includes almost all clothing and most types of building material, he says. Metals are poor emitters, while dielectric materials such as plastics, ceramics, plastic explosives, and powdered drugs lie somewhere in between. The amount of millimeter wave radiation that any of these materials emits also depends on their temperature. Like visible and infrared light, millimeter waves can be focused to form an image. It's not difficult, all you need is a plastic lens, explains Bohr. What is more difficult is detecting this image once it is formed. In the conventional video camera, light is turned into an electrical signal by sensors known as charge-coupled devices. An array of charge-coupled devices at the camera's focal plane generates the electronic signal that creates a picture on the monitor. The more sensors in the array, the finer the camera's resolution. So an important factor is the size of each charge-coupled device, and hence the number that can be crammed into the array. Most home video cameras have thousands, but charge-coupled devices can be used to pick up millimeter waves. That's interesting, target individuals. We need to look into that. We need to get something with higher resolution than normal cameras. And then I'm sure some targeted individuals have maybe already done this. Instead, radio antennas are needed to detect the radiation, and the tiny currents induced in the antennas must be amplified into a clear electronic signal. Such devices tend to be relatively bulky. The trick that Militech has pulled off is to develop a way of making antennas only 2 or 3 millimeters across and then assembling 256 of them into a two-dimensional array. At a distance of a meter or so, the camera can resolve objects a few millimeters across. Like a conventional video camera, the array takes 30 pictures per second. The result is a real-time moving image of the world in millimeter waves. Militech's 2 prototype cameras can easily spot concealed metal knives and guns against the bright background of the bearer's body if the temperature of an object is known. It is also possible to identify the material it is made from by assessing the brightness of the image. Since most concealed objects and packages are kept close to the body, their temperature can be estimated fairly accurately using this technique. Crystalline substances such as sugar or powdered drugs can be identified clearly, although it is not possible to distinguish between the two. By 1997, Militech expects to have a millimeter wave camera on sale for around $10,000 and rugged portable versions for $80,000. To complement its camera, Militech is developing computer software that will scan images produced by the camera and alert a human operator if it spots something suspicious. Fooling the computer will not be easy. I suppose you could hide a gun inside a hot water bottle filled with water at body temperature, suggests Bohr, but the system would still pick up the rubber bottle. The only way to beat it will be to hide objects inside the body. The Militech camera could be a voyeur's delight. At close range, males and females can be easily distinguished, says Bohr. The intensity of the millimeter waves that human flesh emits depends on its temperature. A man's genitals are slightly cooler than the rest of the body, so they appear darker. Bohr says that the computerized scanning system will safeguard people's privacy by doing away with the need for routine human surveillance. Makes surveillance even worse. It takes away our privacy, any privacy whatsoever. Such devices have enormous potential for surveillance. They could make strip searches a thing of the past, for example. To a trained operator, foreign objects inside the body will show up as easily as those outside. And because microwaves pass easily through walls and doors, similar steps could be used to mount a discrete surveillance operation and target individuals, millions all over the world, and probably even more than that now because they're just starting to surveil everybody individually, right? It's a global surveillance operation using microwaves, using directed energy, and then it's gone past surveillance of people everywhere they go to actually monitoring the brain, thoughts from the brain, and then signals to the brain to manipulate thoughts and emotions and visuals that somebody's thinking of. 24 hours a day. Hell. The radar set should cost only a few dollars to assemble. It is already little bigger than a bar of soap and could be made much smaller. Only the computing power to assemble the image will be expensive and bulky. Further down the electromagnetic spectrum, the military electronics manufacturer Raytheon, or Satan's company, Raytheon, has come up with a way of detecting metal objects using radio waves with wavelengths of a few meters. Idea is that radiation will excite electrons in a metal object which will radiate energy as they settle back into a lower energy state. The intensity and duration of this secondary radiation will depend on the size and shape of the object. Raytheon hopes to build a detector that bathes people with radio waves and matches the secondary signal that this produces against a library of radio signatures from objects such as handguns and knives. For the moment, however, it is not clear how accurately this can be done. With electronic noses, however, everybody's smell could be stored on a computer, says Dodd. In the future, smell could be used as evidence of a person's identity, much as fingerprints and DNA tests are today. Now let's see the important information below if we use millimeter wave cameras. Now let's compare with current mind control surveillance system with this technology. I would remind you the cases which were reported in microwave harassment and mind control experimentation by Julian McKinney to explain it. One individual, driven to extremes of stress by ongoing electronic harassment focusing on her children, killed one child in an effort to protect her from further pain. Another individual, during a telephone conversation, was told by an employee of a local power company that if she valued the lives of her children, she would drop her opposition to the company's installation of high power lines. Since receiving that threat, the individual 11-year-old daughter has been reduced to extremes of pain, resulting in her recurrent hospitalization for treatment of illness which cannot be diagnosed. It is now also apparent to this individual that her 3-year-old son is on the receiving end of externally induced auditory input, or probably voice to skull. I would like to emphasize an important point for those readers who think that the above examples are unusual cases and other people would not be subjected to similar harassment. Millions, me being one of them, making this video. 24-hour a day, voice to skull, 24-hour a day, remote neural monitoring with the audible voice to skull responds to inner voice thoughts and visual thoughts in my visual cortex and emotions, right? They can see how I feel. Getting signals from the brain, they can see how I feel. And you probably, most of you guys and gals watching this video are going through the same 24-hour a day surveillance and torture wherever you go. It proves the two families in this example are average law-abiding citizens and living in their own home. Even under such kind circumstances, these members of these two families cannot avoid being spied on, so the children of these two families cannot avoid being attacked and harmed by remotely controlled invisible wave weapons, even in the security of their own home or staying at hospitals. It proves the invisible wave weapon has been used in conjunction with the surveillance system. And I say integrated directed energy weapon systems, neuro weapons. I would say integrated directed energy weapon systems because, but I mean invisible wave weapon too. Also, okay, so in conjunction with the surveillance system, also both systems can track or attack any of the member of these two families with incredible accuracy. From these cases, we know that any one of us can also be injured or examined in our own home or public building, including car, boat, plane, etc. That's because the original surveillance program in 1971 was designed to wire every home, car, boat, etc. Uncloaking the CIA, published by Free Press, 1970. I need to read that. Uncloaking the CIA. The above information, two cases, also prove that no place is safe for anyone when you live under the mind control surveillance system. Include the invisible wave weapon and mind control surveillance system. Some female victims have reported that they were attacked in the urethra region at home. As a male, I've been attacked directly to my genitals to either stimulate me or just to hurt me, and through remote neural manipulation, signals to my brain, I've been sexually stimulated, or made to have to use the bathroom and things like that, which I think all target individuals have experienced. Okay, so I deduce that they are telling the truth. Yes, I'd say they're telling the truth by someone who has experienced all this and continues to experience a lot of it as I'm making this video. This information proves that the state-of-the-art of technologies of mind control should have involved the corrupt officers. That's how they have access to such incredible technologies. Also, that's why the local law enforcement unit can be the basic unit of mind control. I do think that some law officers know about this and may be involved, looking through walls and stuff like that. But you guys know the research that I've looked into and the things that I've looked into is it's contractors under like the NSA. The NSA does it directly. They do signals intelligence and some of the torture, but they also have contractors under them. The CIA have contractors under them. The DIA has contractors under them. And then all these intelligence apparatuses in the DOD have contractors under them that are separated enough from the government and the DOD and these agencies, so it's like this kind of like a Frankenstein monster. And just like in MK Ultra, where the CIA got these front companies and contractors to carry out the the mind control experimentation. Comparing with the above civilian scientist device millimeter waves camera, I deduce that mind control surveillance system has used the technology of millimeter wave and microwave imaging device to surveillance people for a long time. Furthermore, the corrupted operators can use the microwave to check human inside organs in order to manipulate people's lives. That's because the secret research of mind control is far beyond the civilian scientific research. Many years. So something's out to the public, like that article for Wired magazine where they're saying, well, the Air Force is going to work on this stuff. They're like 100 years ahead of that, maybe even more because of the exponential increase in technology. So the things that we can find are pretty far behind. And then a lot of the stuff that I want to get to is classified, like the exact protocols. In like a figured out that a protocol has to be electromagnetic fields around the head, then bidirectional streams, also pulses to the vestibular system, and electromagnetic transcranial stimulation. Those are some that we can deduce and research because of people like James G. Adorno. But I really want to find concrete data on like a document where it says there's nanotechnology on that bypasses the blood-brain barrier, and then photonic energy or scalar energy or a mixture of those things is used to actually send signals to that nanotechnology in the brain connected to neural networks. We need to get some of that concrete data sometime, and it's so carefully hidden and carefully guarded. The millimeter wave microwave imaging device should be technology called remote viewing. Furthermore, the corrupted operators can use the microwave to check. Yeah, okay, we read that. According to Dr. Becker's book, there is some type of radar which can find a fly 1 kilometer away or track a human being within the radius of 25 miles. I believe remote watching technology, which I'd call remote neural monitoring, remote surveillance, right? Technology would use such type of advanced radar emitting radiation at the frequency which can penetrate concrete wall, but still find and locate a subject's position with surgical precision. This remote watching equipment is a secret technology of the intelligence agency, say contractors, intelligence agencies. A company known as SciTech specializes in this type of or similar technology. I'm going to look them up and maybe do a video on. It is discussed in an article written by Armin Victorian. The article appeared in Great Britain's magazine Lobster in June of 1993. This magazine specializes in the reporting matters of dealing with intelligence agencies and conspiracies. The SciTech had used the remote viewing to locate Saddam's Scud missile sites for U.S. government during the Gulf War and assisted FBI to locate and kidnapped Exxon executive. They even can find an object from other country or locate kidnapped people in a hidden place. This proves that this kind of technology of remote watching to locate a subject in a building is not a problem to them. Last year, some news reported that the CIA were using psychics to make the remote viewing. I disagree with these kind of reports. That's because the Psi company employed are the former intelligence scientists of CIA and the expert of microwave scientists, according to the original author, Miss Armin Victoria report. I agree with that, like the men who stare at goats. I think that a lot of that was not psychically remote viewing. They were literally using remote surveillance with microwaves, and then they like made up this kind of mythos about it, as disinformation to the public. Disinformation about what the programs were really doing. Now, maybe there were some programs that really were trying to do, remote viewing psychically. And some people I know, they say that's possible, but I do think that involved in all that were real remote surveillance using microwaves, using directed energy weapons, and then putting out information to maybe other other agencies and stuff like that it was practicing using psychic abilities and stuff like that. Miss Armin Victorian didn't mention the psychics, so even such kind of psychics are also part of employees. The real scientists, such as the expert of microwave scientists, should be the real researchers of remote viewing. Comparing with the above information, the millimeter wave and microwave imaging device should be the real technology of remote viewing. That's because it's real. It really can be used to search a person from a building or a hidden place. I wish they would have written this better. And this microwave device suit the information. And this microwave device is the information of that. The Psi company hired the microwave scientist as employee because it does make sense. However, I would use the name of remote watching instead of remote viewing because CIA has the rights to change the name of this scientific technology. Therefore, remote viewing can be used in psychics, and remote watching will be the name and used for searching targets in buildings. And based on this, remote surveillance technology is what I would call it. Remote surveillance, and then you got remote neural monitoring and remote neural manipulation. Then you've got external hits with directed energy weapons. So based on this remote watching technology, millimeter wave and microwave imaging device, the corrupted operators not only can spy on people in their homes, car, boat, etc., but also can use the invisible wave to manipulate people's lives with incredible accuracy. I don't know why he just didn't use directed energy. Maybe this was an article from way back, somebody who had figured out this stuff a long time ago and was maybe being hit with it a long time ago. Let's see, 1997. So this was 1997 when probably no one had even heard about directed energy weapons. So where are we here? but also can use the invisible wave to manipulate people's lives with incredible accuracy. And I will attest to that. I will testify to that. I want to testify in a court of law to that. That this tech. I mean, like, I'm holding an electronic cigarette here. My attackers have a stream of energy that I can't even feel, heating it up while they are remote neural monitoring me, remote neural manipulating my emotions, targeting my short-term memory. So, like, if I'm thinking of something I want to say, they can wipe that out by signals to the brain. And then I got voice to skull, which is responding to the things that I'm thinking, even saying, right? And I can hear that audibly. And they, in conjunction with gang stalking, isolates us that are being experimented on by this stuff. So you're isolated in your home, and a lot of us do still go out and do things, but it's a living nightmare, But also, that's why the corrupted operators can use the invisible wave weapon attack their target on acupuncture points so accurately. And that's why the corrupted operators can use the chronal gun to remote control the activation of human organisms, such as remote control people's urine for direct physical condition and for life control, or cause their victim to ejaculate in artificial sex dreams. Also, that's why the corrupted undercover career operators can murder anyone as if by natural death, such as induced heart attack, heart failure, or kidney failure, or aneurysm, seizure, stroke, anything like that. And then in some cases of targeted individuals who have died, have been murdered from this, their body just can't take it anymore, and their body literally just gives out. These undercover career operators have been trained professionally in manipulating people's lives and health with their invisible wave weapon. Some recruited young undercover operators will be trained with the murder skill from the senior undercover operators. This kind of training will use the lives of the people as experimentation. This is the most important training to them, and every operator will kill the mind control target to avoid their security leak if the target is becoming aware of the mind control or operator. After above training, not only the career undercover operators can manipulate people's lives, health, and activities, but they are also the professional assassins or murderers. That's why the mind control system has been used in our society for a long time, but the mind control surveillance system can still be kept as a highest secret by the corrupted operators. Therefore, these undercover operators can induce serious disease on victims over a long period. This is done slowly so the victims would not be suspicious. Furthermore, they can kill people immediately to avoid security leaks, such as cause a car accident, beam the large amount of microwaves from the axis of steer wheel to cause the driver to fall asleep, or use the infrasound or chronal gun to cause heart attack or damage the victim's brain. And I'm starting to become pretty suspicious about, and I know that they don't need implants anymore. And I think I'm gonna have to say that every time, but they still do use implants like the size of a grain of rice or other very small ones, even though they don't need those anymore as a redundant system. But especially for targeted individuals who may have the targeting started like in childhood or from birth or something like that. I'm suspicious that this implantation and activation of the implant and sending signals up and down the nervous system causes autoimmune disorders, because your body is trying to get that out of your body, right? It's a foreign thing in your body that your body kind of sees it attacking it, and it can cause an autoimmune disorder. And I've had Crohn's disease. It flared up when I was 10. A lot of people, Crohn's disease and celiac disease, and there's a lot of autoimmune disorders that are relatively new in society, and I think that it has to do with mass implantation, and in some circumstances maybe just being remote neural monitored or hit with directed energy weapons. Your body responds in a certain type of way. Thus, these career undercover operators' routine job is to manipulate the lives of those people who know the operator's crimes or infringe the operator's interest, or whom the operators dislike, including opponents. When the undercover operators find any target is out of life control, They will cooperate together to drive the particular target mad, or work together to kill the person to avoid their crimes and lives, control security risk. For example, in 1995, a former head of Taiwan's National Security Institute died of a heart attack in a public bath pool in Taipei. This death occurred 2 days after he announced that he would write a memoir. His video claimed that her husband has never had any heart problems in his life. I guess his widow claimed that her husband has never had any heart problems in his life, supported by his health record history, and requested an autopsy to be performed in order to determine the true cause of his death. I say Breitbart too. Breitbart like just had a heart attack out of nowhere, and he was about to release a bunch of damaging information to the Obama administration. And many others, right? Many others. We believe that he was killed by these kinds of undercover career operators to avoid the mind control system security leak. So Alan Yu, the first objective of mind control organization is to manipulate people's lives in order to secretly eliminate those people who know the operator's crimes or who the operators dislike. They make it look as if the victim died of natural causes. You know, and you guys know what I think. I think there's many reasons that we're targeted. You know, at the top, I think at the top of the pyramid, there's like algorithms that actually know about people who are going to cause trouble for the tyrannical system to progress later. But I think lower down in the pyramid, it's like people are just like, I think that I was picked up for this program down the pyramid to their knowledge just as a child. For some reason that unbeknownst to me, some people are whistleblowers. Some people are whistleblowers and they don't want their information getting out. Some people just date. They date people, agents and law enforcement that know about these programs and can put them into these programs. And many other reasons, lawsuits against companies, unemployment cases, child custody suits when one parent wants to make the other one look crazy so they can get full custody of the children, and they're the one that puts them in the program has connections to these programs, right? So many different reasons. And then when we're in the program, then it's like destruction, practicing psyops, meat for the grinder of DHS fusion centers and InfraGard, and also experimentation of the brain. And just to see what how they can change our belief systems, many angles all the way down the pyramid of why they do this to people. And then I guess I need to say something. I just wanted to read this article because it was talking about millimeter waves being used in the actual mind control, right? In the actual remote neural manipulation, remote neural monitoring. But I wanted to say, people, I do want to say, people say, well, you're just a normal person. The government's not going to spend money on you, blah, 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 blah. No. They do it to a bunch of people all over the world, all these military industrial complexes all over the world, to many different types of personalities, age groups, cultures, races. They want to get an extensive variety of personalities. They do it to compliant people, non-compliant people, to see how they'll respond, right? To see what makes each person tick and how they can get each of those, I guess control groups in science, you call it control groups. See what they can get them to do. See what they can get them to believe. See how fast it takes to destroy their life and things like that. It's a satanic system where there are many different reasons for people being pulled into this program. Sometimes it's just like somebody gets a surgery. Somebody goes to the hospital to get a surgery. The doctor happens to be connected with actually implanting people because they get money from the government to implant people. The doctor may not even know what the implant's going to be used for, and boom, that person has an implant in them. So down the road, other toxins, nanoparticulates, Morgellons, smart dust, and biofilm, and just the unique brainwave signature being used and the signature of DNA can be used. Many redundant systems, but sometimes it's just a doctor who gets money to implant people because so many hospitals and universities cooperate with this bigger system. of surveillance and torture and experimentation. The mind-machine control system is the national security system of Taiwan from the late 1970s and should be the same in the United States or a lot of free countries. In Taiwan, the mind machine is translated as psychological language machine. In Mandarin, it sounds like Xin Li Yu Yan Gi, and its words means the machine that can be used to read the human mind. Accusing others as insane without evidence is the trademark of the mind control organization. If any law enforcement officer declare anyone as insane and the Social Security Department do not put these individuals in the welfare program as disabled persons, then it only represents a kind of political suppression or false accusation to discredit someone. And that's a discrediting tactic, to just call somebody mentally ill. When we know these weapons exist now, and you see now in the TSA has millimeter wave scanning devices, and it always has, but now it's actually one that's seeing if people are sick, right? And maybe sending signals to and from the brain. You got a 5G infrastructure sitting out there right in front of the public in millimeter waves. 5G technology is used in active denial systems. And then you have the millions of people all over the world who have been for many decades saying, I'm being hit with something, I'm being hit with heat, my emotions are being messed with, it hurts, I think it's microwaves, right? Like a lot of targeted individuals don't know at first. And then we find out that there's all these directed energy weapon systems, there's this big infrastructure. Just like me, I was targeted I think a long time before I knew about it. But when the overt torture started, when the ringing in my ears happened, and then 2 months later V2K, that it took me a year to even know it was V2K, right? I didn't know about directed energy weapons. Before that, I had no knowledge of directed energy weapons or the remote use of them. I had to look all this up. So it's not like I looked up on the internet and said, oh, well, there's these directed energy weapons that the military and the military-industrial complex are using more, and I'm mentally ill, so I think I'm being hit by them. Didn't even know about any of this before I started being attacked. And I would I think I'd be right if I said all of the targeted individuals that watch this channel, it was the same way. Maybe some target individuals heard about targeting like in the in more recent years, right? Because this has been a huge issue, targeted individuals, directed energy weapon torture, remote neural monitoring, and things like that. Maybe somebody just sees that it exists, but then later down the road is targeted. So, I'm sure it does exist. Accusing that's because the local law enforcement is the basic unit of mind control. Yeah, they are involved in gang stalking, and I think a lot of them do know about the ground weapons, and then the ones higher up actually know about radar systems. I think they all know about radar systems that look through walls. How many of them know about remote neural monitoring and remote neural manipulation? I don't know. But I know that every cop, everybody in local law enforcement knows about gang stalking, and I think they probably call it something like surveilling a person of interest, The shorter the lie is, the better it is, so the liar can avoid inconsistencies and mistakes that other people can catch. Even in the most dangerous battlefield, there are always soldiers who survive. Only the truth will triumph over deception and last forever. I think lies and evil come out swinging a lot sooner, and they're manipulating a lot sooner, but I do think that good wins out in the end. I really do. Alright guys, I just wanted to show you all that. Millimeter waves of mind control. I'm going to put this in the description, the link to this article. And I wanted to show those millimeter wave scanners because millimeter waves are used in active denial systems, and they're used in the torture of millions of people all over the world. Now at the TSA, and before, there were certain millimeter wave systems that millimeter devices that you had to walk through, but now it's going to be taking vital signs, and it's going to be getting more intrusive in what signals that it's picking up from the body, and I think mind. I think that it's picking up signals and temperature from the actual brain, and we're going to see more and more of it in consumer society and in medical procedures and things like that. I have an article from MIT where they're taking this, I've made a video about it, but I'm going to probably make another video soon about it to kind of put into one of my playlists. But the MIT came out with phased array antennas to make electromagnetic fields around the head, and then use bidirectional streams of ultrasound to do neural manipulation. So, right, the military-industrial complex, DARPA, experiments on it heavily, and then starts trickling it out to the DoD, NSA, CIA. They, this is in America, right? And they trickle it out to these contractors. The contractors do training, research, and development on it. And then a lot of these things that they learn are trickled out to, universities. And universities are actually involved in a lot of the experimentation. But the advances that they get are trickled out slowly into the public, right? Spoon-fed, little by little, and put out in little articles about like, oh yeah, there's phased, MIT just discovered this, right? Phased array antennas to make an electromagnetic field around the head, and then a bidirectional ultrasound to actually mechanically, neurally manipulate the brain. So that's how they do it. They're doing all this stuff underneath. It's like way far advanced, like 100 years advanced, and now, then the public and the medical community, they trickle that out, and then it's kind of spoon-fed to the public from this way, right? But now, since the pandemic's come along, and they want excuses to hurry up all these agendas with creating a neural society, right? Creating a neural society and seeing through everything and surveilling everybody. All these trickle outs to like the TSA and certain things that the public will see right in front of their face are going to be sped up, So we definitely have to use that. We have to use that speeding up against the system, so that people can be aware. And I think, for me, and no one way of doing things is optimal, right? We all have different things that God speaks to our heart, to try and make things better, to do the best we can for our families, to fight evil, right? Because this is a good versus evil thing. But one thing that I think is very important is like, okay, we got 5G. You can see that these millimeter wave scanners can get vital signs in the body. People have to understand that it's very easy for agencies, for larger agencies and contractors, to send a signal to and from the brain. And they're going to be doing this more and more to read people's thoughts, to categorize people's thoughts, to change people's thoughts, to change emotions. And they've already been doing it throughout this century. They've been doing it. And now, and even before the pandemic, but I think it's going to get sped up, because they're like, okay, well, people are protesting, and they're really going against what we're doing here. Well, if we can just remote neural monitor them, read out their thoughts, and then push back different emotions about it, and which my attackers have done individually to me over a long period of time. Trauma-based behavioral modification, trauma-based mind control. But some people, the more that they do it and the more they experiment on it, the faster that they're going to get at it, right? Where for me, it like took a long time, a lot of torture, many years to like really start messing with my, emotions and personality to a way where it's like, oh my gosh, so much stuff going on. They make it quicker and quicker as they experiment on this more and more people. All right, guys. So I just wanted to show you all that. I'm going to try and get my live stream capabilities up. And there's a lot of other important videos about like tyranny coming from police officers that I want to put out, just so we can be aware of what's going on in every community. But I guess that's it for now, guys. Dangerous stuff. It's just dangerous stuff. I feel like knowledge is the first step. The more that the public becomes aware of how dangerous it is, because even the things that are on the surface with this pandemic, it's way worse than that. It's way worse than that. And the public knows. I think they'll be more inclined to go ahead and let's just fight this thing. Let's reject the system's done. I know we need a place to stay and things to eat and stuff. So we rely on the system. We're dependent on the system, but it's done. It's done. I hope that we can get some stability back and things like that. But they're just taking too many of our freedoms, and even before they started taking our freedoms during this pandemic, people were being murdered in their homes. So. All right, guys. Well, God bless y'all, and may the force be with you always. And I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm going to try and work on, getting some form of live stream up soon. Just work on getting information out and doing the best we can. I love y'all. I'll see you on the next one.